On to our breaking news story now. Tourism Minister Patricia de Lille has dissolved the South African Tourism Board on Friday. This after then chairperson Tozamile failed to give reasons why the board should not be dismissed. De Lille had given the chair until Tuesday to provide reasons. The SA Tourism Board has recently been making headlines for all the wrong reasons. At the centre of serious allegations facing the board is that controversial R1 billion deal with the English Premier League giants Tottenham Hotspur. Now, so far, 8 of the 11 board members have resigned. Now, let's bring in David Frost. He's the CEO of the Southern Africa Tourism Services Association. Mr. Frost, thank you very much for your time. Obviously, it looks like it was a decision that the minister had no choice in terms of making this decision. Only 3 members remained in the board.
Indeed. Good morning, and good morning to your viewers. Look, let me just say, I think we really need to commend Minister De Lille. I mean, she's come into a position in which there was an elephant in the room, and she has acted decisively and quickly in terms of dealing with the issue. Clearly the board of SA Tourism, in terms of overseeing the folly of this Tottenham Hotspur deal, was severely sort of compromised. And the issue here is, when we have a board, these SOEs, and your business is tourism, it's incumbent on the minister, whoever's appointing that board, to have people on the board that have some knowledge of tourism and or marketing, because those are the core functions of SA Tourism. And now, if you don't, you end up down weird rabbit holes that we went on, and you end up with the, as I say, with the sort of folly of the Tottenham Hotspur deal. But more than that, what I've also been incredibly impressed with the minister is the way she's interacted closely and in a really frank manner with the leadership of the private sector tourism associations through the Tourism Business Council, and indeed with the leadership of large individual associations such as ourselves.
Now, looking at the difference, just tell me about the difference that you're seeing between the then Minister, Lindiwe Sisulu, and Minister Patricia de Lille, who, after a week or so of coming in, had already done something about that R1 billion questioned deal with Tottenham Hotspur, that she asked the board to make sure it doesn't go ahead. At some point, there were complaints from Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Tourism and even SCOPA about the former minister not attending meetings, telling them that she cannot be in attendance very late on the day of a sitting in Parliament, etc. So are you seeing any difference between what used to be the Minister of Tourism and the Minister of Tourism now?
Look, the short answer is yes, but I'd rather not dwell on going into a critique of the former minister. I don't think that really gets us anywhere. I think what we really need to do is to focus on just this positive energy that Minister De Lille has brought in. She is doing things by the book. She's looking at a skill injection into an interim board, and then she'll follow a proper process. And we look forward to inputting into that process in terms of getting a fully functioning board up and running. And then also, I think, just looking at the team at SAT, I think that we need to really bolster the organization with some proper tourism skills. But more than that, what we are and have been agitating and lobbying for many years now is to see a proper structured engagement at a technical level, because a board provides strategy and oversight, but what we need at a technical level, so for example, the SA Tourism, one of our key markets is North America. It's our second biggest source market. We need a proper private public sector task team where we bring our best and most experienced tourism practitioners from a private sector who know that market and have transacted in that market for many years. We need them to sit together with the SA Tourism team and develop at inception a joint strategy that we all buy into, and then that we end up executing together. That's the type of proper structured engagement that we're looking for, and I'm incredibly confident with Minister De Lille's leadership and the fact that she's in a very short space of time, I might add, has put an advisory team in place that is exemplary. Really, she's got there's some good people advising her, and this augurs well, I think, for a proper impetus to our recovery as we try and claw back to pre-COVID levels.
Well, hopefully there will be, criminal charges outside of SA Tourism that will be, instituted against those who have been accused of sexual harassment, etc., in terms of accountability in our country within the board that has now been dissolved. But Mr. Frost, I remember you and I had a conversation during the time that the acting CEO of SA Tourism, Themba Khumalo, was addressing the nation about this Tottenham Hotspur deal. And the first thing you said was that he said that industries were spoken to and were consulted, and you responded saying you don't even remember getting a letter or call from SA Tourism about this particular issue. But I wonder what your thoughts are about the acting CEO now, because apparently it is his memorandum to the then minister on her last day and the current minister on her first day, raising issues around the board.
Look, with respect, I don't really want to get into a speculation of the role of the acting CEO. I'm not privy to those details, but I can just reiterate that in no way was the private sector consulted on the Tottenham Hotspur deal, even anecdotally, even over a cup of coffee. We were blindsided when that whole deal was when the whistleblowers exposed that, and just incredibly grateful to the courageous people that did expose that. But what I am encouraged by is that, rather than be sort of mired in shenanigans and negativity, what we're seeing here is decisive and quick leadership from the minister, and we are going to move forward. We've got a big trade show coming up in early May, and Darba's our big trade show, and there is massive interest in South Africa as a destination, and that's the sort of positive stuff that we need to focus on. But once we have a more functioning and properly constituted South African tourism, that then allows the opportunity to put good minds together and to come up with a proper repositioning campaign, not the folly of the Spurs thing and the awareness and the fact that we didn't even get the match day kit in the first year and all the horrendous stuff around that, but a proper repositioning campaign that goes out to the world and says we're a cool place to come and have a holiday in. And that's the sort of work that needs to be done. And once again, kudos to the minister for getting stuck in and focusing on the issues and displaying, I think just exemplary leadership.
Well, I guess those are one of the lessons that should be learned by SA Tourism and this new board that will eventually come on, is that, consultation with the private sector and everyone involved is quite important. But lastly, Mr. Frost, how urgent is it that a new board is appointed for SA Tourism so that everything can move forward? We don't find ourselves, for instance, 6 months later, like we did with the SABC, not having a board at SA Tourism. How important or crucial is it to have a board as soon as possible?
No, it's imperative. I mean, we can't waste any time here. But as I understand it, the minister is doing everything she can to expedite the process, but within the proper sort of ambit of proper corporate governance. You can't just sort of leap in and start appointing people willy-nilly without going through due process. So, as the Tourism Business Council, we'll work with her and we'll look forward to making some input into what that board could look like. But ultimately, it's the minister's prerogative. But I'm confident that everything is being done. as quickly as possible. So yeah, no, I'm looking forward to a good ride with this minister. I think she's going to be incredibly good for tourism, and as a consequence, incredibly good for the country.
Well, thank you very much for your time, Mr. Frost. David Frost, he's the CEO of the Southern Africa Tourism Services Association.